good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the BPM Change Management call. My name is Nicole Himes with the California ISO. And today, just a couple housekeeping that there will be a revised presentation posted after today's call. We had some comments that came in on time, but after we posted the public presentation. So I'll post that so you have those comments on the 3 PRRs that had comments received. This call is being recorded for informational and convenience purposes only. Any related transcription should not be reprinted without ISO's permission. This meeting is structured to stimulate honest dialogue and engage in different perspectives. Please keep comments professional and respectful. We have instructions for raising your hand to ask questions. If you have dialed in through the WebEx in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little raised hand icon. You can go ahead and click that when you have questions. If you are dialed in on just a telephone, you can hit #2. Please remember to state your name and affiliation when you are making your comments. And if you have any technical issues during the meeting, please use the chat to send to our event producer to get assistance. So for today's call, we have 14 PRRs total, 4 in the initial stage and 10 are in the recommendation stage. We have 3 PRRs with comments and all are ISO submitted. I'll be filling in for a couple of folks today, and we'll write down any questions that you may have about those PRRs if we can't answer them for you directly. The ISO Business Practice Manual purpose is to set forth practices that implement the ISO tariff. Every year, the ISO conducts a policy initiative roadmap to consider and rank initiatives. Policy changes submitted through the PRR process will be referenced in the policy initiative roadmap, and each subject area in a BPM is based on enabling language in the ISO tariff. The PRR process cannot be used to introduce changes that are not supported by existing tariff authority. So the first PRR we're going to talk about is the energy imbalance market. PRR 1389 is excluding outlier data from energy imbalance market uncertainty histograms. This is in the recommendation stage. The reason for this revision was to update and establish a guideline to aid in the EIM entities in determining when and how to request exclusion of outlier data. We did receive one comment from SRP requesting data samples. The recommendation comment period expired on November 12th, and the next step is to post final decision. I know we are working on posting a response to the comment received for this PRR, but at this time, are there any questions about this PRR? Okay. The next BPM we're going to be talking about is market operations. There are 2 PRRs, both are in the recommendation stage. PRR 1387 is the hybrid resource phase 2 updates as it related to market operations BPM, and PRR 1382 is for energy storage and distributed resources phase 4 updates as it related to the market operations BPM also. 1387 reason for revision was building on phase 1. This hybrid resource is related to phase 2A of the initiative. The enhancement of this phase will focus on how hybrid generation resources can operate within the ISO market. This is targeted for fall release 2021. We did not receive any recommendation comments, and the comment period expired on November 12th. And the next step is to post the final decision. PRR 1382, reason for the revision was to enhance the ability of energy storage and distributed resources to participate in the ISO market. One document, we added a new paragraph describing the end of the hour state of change bid parameter in real-time markets. In the second document, we provided some edits to section 6.5.4 and referenced all DEB-related topics to attachment D in the market instruments BPM. The target date for this implementation is November 1st, 2021. We did not receive any recommendation comments, which closed on November 12th, and the next step is to post the final decision. Do we have any comments about these 2 PRRs? Okay. Moving on to the market instruments BPM, PRR 1393 is for variable operations and maintenance cost changes. This is in the initial stage. And PRR 1386 is for hybrid resource phase 2 updates as it relates to market instruments BPM is in the recommendation stage. And PRR 1381 energy storage and distributed resource phase 4 updates as it relates to the market instruments BPM is also in the recommendation stage. PRR 1393 reason is edits to the BPM for market instruments to provide guidance to scheduling coordinators on the variable operations and maintenance adders introduced in the VOM cost review stakeholder initiative. The target implementation date for this is January 1st, 2022. We did receive comments from SRP on clarifying the language. We did post a response and we'll edit the language based on the comments received. The comment period expired on November 12th, and the next step is to post the recommendation. PRR 1386 is building on, the reason is to build on phase 1. This hybrid resource is related to phase 2A of the initiative, and the enhancement of this phase will focus on how hybrid generation resources can operate within the ISO market. This is targeted for fall release 2021. We did not receive any comments as for this PRR. The comment period closed on November 12th, and the next step is to post the final decision. PRR 1381, the reason for this revision is to enhance the ability of energy storage and distributed resources to participants in the ISO market. This includes enhancements to the default energy bid calculations for the storage resources related to energy costs, variable costs, and the price-based opportunity costs. Our targeted implementation date was November 1st of this year. We did not receive any recommendation comments. The comment period closed on November 12th, and the next step is to post the final decision. Do we have any questions on these 3 PRRs? Okay. Not hearing any comments so far. As a reminder, you can hit #2 on your telephone keypad or click the raise hand icon in the bottom lower right-hand corner of your WebEx. The next PRR is condition revenue rights BPM. PRR 1388 is market data availability on market user interface, which is in the recommendation stage. And I will hand this over to Jacob to discuss this PRR.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm Jacob Fox, the CRR team. So for PRR 1388, the reason for this revision is the new business process for the time period after a market run, that the public download files will be available on the market user interface for download. That's essentially about 3 years after the expiration of the effective period of the market. So we have not received any recommendation comments. The recommendation comment period expired on November 12th. And our next step is to post the final decision.
Are there any questions on this PRR? Okay, thanks, Jacob. The next VPM we're going to be talking about is the scheduling coordinator certification and termination. PRR 1385 is in the recommendation stage. It's scheduling coordinator updates for documentation submission process. The reason for this revision was to add additional information on how to submit documentation through City, which started as of July 2021. It also updated minor wording and links for accuracy, and the effective date will be 11/30. We did not receive any recommendation comments, and the recommendation comment period expired on November 12th. And the next step is to post the final decision. Do we have any comments about this PRR? Okay, the next BPM is a candidate PRR holder registration BPM. PRR 1384 is additional information for congestion revenue rights holder self-termination. This is in the recommendation stage. The reason for this revision is to include additional information for CRR holders wishing to self-terminate and clarify that once the termination letter is submitted, no additional CRR auction participation is allowed. The effective date of this change is dated for 11/30/2021. We did not receive any recommendation comments. The comment period closed on November 12th, and the next step is to post the final decision. Do we have any questions on this PRR? Okay. The next BPM is the direct telemetry BPM. PRR 1390, eligible intermittent resource definition update, is in the initial stage, and PRR 1380, high sustainable limit, is also in the recommendation stage. PRR 1390, reason for this revision was to provide eligible intermittent resource definition update. We did not receive any initial comments. The comment period expired on November 12th, and the next step is to post the recommendation. PRR 1380 is to update section 6.1, 8.4.2, and 14.1 to update to include new telemetry requirements related to the hybrid resource initiative. We did not receive any comments during the comment period, which expired on November 12th, and the next step is to post the final decision. Do we have any questions about these two PRRs? The next BPM is their settlements and billing BPM. PRR 1383 is update regulation no pay pre-calculation to change data source for dispatch operating target calculation quantity. This is in the recommendation stage, and I will hand it over to Brenda to discuss this PRR.
Thank you, Nicole. For our PRR that we submitted, the reason we're revising it is for the calculation of DOT for the flag in the EMS price system. So this was just to make sure it aligns correctly with the settlement requirement. As well, this only impacts the following conversion guide, which is the pre-calc regulation no pay quantity, and this will be updated to include the new data source related to any conversion work on that conversion guide. Our deployment date was October 27 with the effective date of 12/1/2021. At this time, no comments were submitted. And our next step is to post the recommendation, and also the next step will be for the final decision. So this week we'll post the recommendation following the final decision. But I think that's all for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. Are there any questions about this PRR? Okay. The next BPM is our generator management BPM. PRR 1392 had minor language update for BPM for generator management, which is in the initial stage. And I will be handing this over to Jill to discuss this PRR.
Thanks, Nicole. The reason for this revision is to conform the terminology with the VOM cost review initiative. There were no initial comments received. The comment period expired on November 12th, and our next step is to post a recommendation.
Thanks, Jill. Are there any questions on this PRR? Okay. The next BPM is our generator interconnection and deliverability allocation procedures BPM. PRR 1391 is transmission plan deliverability clarification in the initial stage. And I will hand this over to Dawn to discuss this PRR.
Thank you, Nicole. So we are revising section 6.9.2.1, the market notice timeline section, in order to clarify that capacity effectuated through the CAISO's modification processes may seek an allocation for TP deliverability. We received one initial comment from Westland Solar Park wanting to know if the
allocations would proceed on schedule, and the answer to that is yes. The extended study of Cluster 14 is not going to skip the 2022-2023 TP deliverability allocation cycle. The initial comment period expired November 12th of 2021, and the next step is to post the recommendation. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Dawn. That concludes our call for today. The next BPM monthly meeting, I'll update the date, will be in December. If you have any questions, please email us at bpm_cm@kaiso.com. As a reminder, I will be posting the revised presentation after this call today to our website, and I hope you all have a great day.